tournament in the world. This is the DreamHack EIZO Open. Welcome back. What an intro. Well, we're going to get into the thick of things. 82 players flew in from around the world to compete for a total prize pool of 150,000 Swedish crowns. 8 of them have survived this far, and we're going to go ahead and cover what was the trials, the tribulations, everything that they had to go through to get this far in the tournament. And now a recap of day one. And now, to bring up the 8 players that I spoke of just a second ago, we're going to start off with the Assembly Winter 2012 champion. It is TSL Polt! And now, for our second player, it is going to be MYM MVP Master Monster! And now, our third player is going to be a Swede, Dignitas Sjow! And up next, he's a beastly Zerg. It is Acer's Nerchio! And now, the BlizzCon champion. It is MYM MVP Genius! And up next, the Master German. It is ATN Soccer! And now, for the King of Drones, it is Liquid's Rhett! Last but not least, the last of our Swedes to make it into the top 8. It is Mouse Sports Thursday! I like that. You got Swedes stand up in the crowd and everything. All right. And now for my counterpart, the second host of this amazing event, it is EIZO's in control, and he is sitting at the caster couch.
I want to thank you guys, and thank you, Semler, right? Semler? Yeah? It's okay. So, big shout out to Stockholm, Sweden, guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you very much. Not sure how you guys all stay so thin and beautiful eating McDonald's every day, but you know, I appreciate the effort. It's good. Also, make sure and head way up there. Get yourself some alcohol if you're of age. Makes my jokes more funny. I appreciate that. Or funny at all, actually, sometimes. Okay. As you notice, this is the couch, and again, I'm just kind of learning as I go here with Europe. This is a couch, according to you guys, which... Only in Sweden would I take up the entire couch. Thank you. Well, we're going to talk about the top 8 guys, and I have some special guests to start things off. Of course, you know him as one of the most creative players in all of StarCraft, a big fan favorite. It is TLO from Team Liquid.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our other guest today is one of the guys that makes this entire thing possible. He also produces some pretty good news for Rakaka. How many Kas do you have in your Rakaka?
Rakaka?
Right. It's like a bird. It is Hellspawn. We've had some pretty amazing players come up here, but TLO, everyone was pulling for you. They really wanted you up here. What was your tournament like? How'd you do?
I did really well the first day. I only dropped one map in the first two group stages, and I felt pretty confident. Then the next day, today, it didn't go so well for me at all. I didn't really get a lot of sleep. I had some trouble sleeping, and then I just didn't go with what I trained for. You know that feeling as a competitor yourself. You prepared builds, you're really confident in them, and for some reason, when it really matters, you divert from your alert,
Yes.
and then it just falls over. So, well, can't really apologize for that. Just happens, and Beard still has to stay, but I'm confident. I'm way more positive after defeats in tournaments than I used to be, and I'm looking forward to the next event already.
You did okay, I think.
You did absolutely okay.
Okay, it's not enough.
Of course. Yeah, I think you had that group. I think the second stage of groups, there was like 4 players in every group, and they mostly consisted of 2 good players and 2 guys who were giving it their best. Your group actually had 3 really good players in Snoot, Mana, and yourself, if I'm not mistaken, right? And again, no disrespect to the 4th guy who I don't know his name, but he's a really good player, I promise you. You made it out of there, actually, only dropping 1 game, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, of course. As I said, first day it went well, and I'm proud of my achievement there. But that's not what I'm aiming for, because it's rather average, and I'm obviously aiming for the above average. So I'm gonna go home tomorrow. I'm not gonna party too much tonight, and practice as soon as I get home tomorrow.
Yeah, that's legit. That's of all
TLO
times to
ain't
boo
party.
TLO, that is actually the only acceptable one, is when he says he's not going to party. Well, what's the future look like? I know you've actually been a resident of Stockholm for a while now, and your ever-expanding StarCraft 2 career. Where will we see you go from here?
Well, I'm actually only staying in Sweden for 1 more week, and then I'm sorry, guys. I really like Stockholm, but other countries need me.
Okay. And you won't say which one yet. That's
I'm going home to Germany for a little bit, and then, well, there are 2 choices that you could guess. I'm gonna let you guess. It's rather east, so you know it soon.
so Japan, right? Obviously you're gonna.
Obviously Japan. I'm gonna
Yeah.
become a Sun Master.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, obviously. Sweden has your back, I'm sure. Well, Hellspawn, let's talk a little bit about what you do here. How's it been? I think you're actually, correct me if I'm wrong, fairly new to DreamHack in terms of administrative work, right?
Yeah, I started work in September, but I hosted all the Blizzard tournaments since 2009, so sometime.
You hosted all the Blizzard tournaments.
Yeah, World of Warcraft and StarCraft 2.
There you are. Okay. That was like a subtle joke, I guess. We'll warm it up, guys. Don't worry.
But I'm a Quake player originally.
Okay, so how has this tournament been for you guys? This is a little bit different. We have, of course, this show. A lot of new elements are being added to the show. It's a lot of moving parts. Has it been stressful? Are you relieved? Are you happy? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm really happy. We haven't put so much time into the planning before. This was step up in all the organization, I would say. And I'm really happy. It's been a good tournament. And look at this crowd, look at these players, look at this production.
Pretty happy. Well, let's do a little bit of a discussion on the top 8. Obviously, that's what we're really excited about. This entire day has been geared towards presenting this amazing competition. We have the age-old story of Koreans versus foreigners, and I think it's been set up pretty beautifully with 3 of the 5 Koreans, if I'm not mistaken, making it to the top 8. And each one of them, it's like 3 or something like that anyways. Tila's checking the math. They're freaking German. Okay. They're going to be facing off some great players. Let's just go down the line. Off the top of my head, like Rhett versus Genius. We did see some Genius PvZ going on earlier. What are your guys' picks and why?
Obviously, I'm not biased at all
No.
towards Red, so as an objective observer of the upcoming match, I can tell you, we should all put our trust into Red. He's an amazing player.
Sure.
So it's my role to say the opposite, and I will do, because I think that Red will have a hard game actually. But he was a semi-finalist last DreamHack Winter. He did really good, so I don't underestimate him, of course.
You shouldn't. Never.
But for me, my pick for the tournament is actually Polt, and he's going up first against Sjow. And even though Sjow is a good friend of mine, I'm cheering for the Swedish player, of course. I think Polt looks so strong, so he would be the guy to watch for.
Polt is no stranger to winning stuff. Obviously, that's going to be a very exciting TVT. Looking forward to that one. What are some other matches we're looking at here? Monster versus Nurchio, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be really cool. Monster from that newly partnered MYM MVP partnership. Is that Complexity that handed off the leash to MYM and then they kind of...
Hard to know. I think MVP changed just the partner. Hard game to predict. I don't know who's going to win. Do you have any
Well, let's
clue,
ask the
Dario?
Zerg expert himself.
Well, to be honest, I don't know Monster's style a lot, but what I've seen from Nurture is that he's been playing extremely strong at this tournament. So I don't want to give any predictions that isn't proficient. So I'm just gonna say it could go either way because Monster is training with MVP. Nurture, however, is playing extremely strong this tournament. So really, it's 50-50 in my opinion.
It's a really bold prediction, TL.
We should remember Nurture. We should remember Nurture had some problems playing in the LAN, and being in front of this crowd could bring out a lot of nerves, I think. So maybe that would be his problem, but Monster haven't been outside of Korea, I think, so this is also new to him. How about the nerves, do you think, Dario? Would that be the big part of the game, the decider?
It's very hard to tell because nerves are extremely subjective. They are very dynamic. It can change from a player from day to day. At some tournaments, if you're a very nervous player, you're actually being elevated in your play by your nerves because your senses are heightened and you really, really want to win. And the next day you just crumble beneath them. So the problem about nerves is you cannot predict them. Obviously it's not good for a player to have nerves, most cases, but sometimes doesn't matter. Pretty bold statement again, once again.
You guys are a bowl of mediocrity over there in terms of... we're going to change this from predictions to how do you feel they will do, like how difficult will this be for them?
But for the last game, I can make a real prediction. I think Thorsten will defeat Sake. He's a TVP master from previously. He's the Swedish star. I think the crowd will pull him through this game, even though Sake has been amazing the last couple of months, but Thorsten he's going to nail it, I think.
Well, he definitely has, I mean, I think it's Sjow and it is Thorzane that are the two hometown favorites, right? Are they the last two Swedes? Well, 2 out of 8 Swedish players. Pretty good, actually.
Almost Korean.
Almost Korean. Yeah, that's actually a good, fair thing to say. And a little bit more bold, I appreciate that. You're coming out of your shell a little bit, TLO. That's good. I would have to echo the same sentiments. Sock's a good buddy of mine, but Thorzane is the first best player on the entire planet. So it's actually going to be really rough for him to lose any games at all, actually, for the rest of the tournament.
Can I steal the word?
The world?
The word. Yeah, I can, of course.
Are you asking me if you can say that?
Yeah. I want to give a shout out and a special thank you to EIZO, AMD Sapphire, and Twitch TV for making this happen and this year's competition of DreamHack StarCraft 2. And also, I would like to make a personal thank you to my mother and father who is here on the venue. That's the first time since 2001, DreamHack Winter. So it's really, really glad. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for being here.
I, too, would like to make a personal thank you to his mom as well. So. Can't a guy thank a guy's mom? I don't understand. Guys, we're going to be doing interviews throughout this entire thing. We'll be pulling out the winners. We'll be killing some time, I believe, with other people as well. But hopefully we'll make this entertaining. Again, you can do your part at laughing at all my jokes. Appreciate that. Thank you. It's good practice. We'll get better at that.
Was that a joke itself? Or,
what?
I don't know. Why are people laughing?
Can we get the bearded guy off the stage here? Speaking of getting off the stage, ladies and gentlemen, it is our wonderful casters who will be carrying us to the grand finals, Wolf and Diapollo.
Hello, Stockholm. How is everybody doing down there? Seems like an amazing audience, and we're going to have a lot of fun here today.
Yeah, we definitely are. I cannot wait to cast these matches. They're going to be great. It's going to be absolutely exciting.
Yeah, we have 8 players now. We've gone through, as they mentioned, 82 different players, and now we're down to the finals. quarterfinals, 3 Koreans, 2 Swedes, and then we have like a German, Polish guy, and then like a Dutch. But they're still pretty good.
That's what we've got, man. And, you know, the Koreans are usually favored to win this event, but I think we might have a foreigner this time. It's entirely possible. You know, Nurchio is looking really strong. We've got Saka and Thorzen. They're always doing really well. But Genius, Monster, they're still in here. And, of course, our other Korean player, whose, like, name is just always, like, forgetting. Of course, it's Polt.
Yeah.
A recent addition to TSL. Not that recent anymore. Of course, Polt, a very strong player. Going up against Sjow. And we've got basically a huge variety of players here.
Oh, man. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not doing it for personal favors or anything from the others, but Thorzen's going to the finals, guys. In that lower bracket.
Is that what you think?
Yeah. I'm pretty confident with that. He's going the distance, man. He's going the distance. Then we will have a Swede in the finals. The upper bracket, though, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, the upper bracket is definitely the harder part. You know, consider also that if Monster loses, there will be a foreigner in the finals no matter what. That's something to consider.
That's pretty cool too. Nurchio down in the down in the lower bracket has been playing very, very well. And just for the schedule, guys, we will be getting underway with game number 1 shortly, but we will be having a game every hour. It's going to be a best of 3 all the way up to the finals, which will be a best of 5 there. You can see the schedule there. And what an amazing show. I was here actually for the Stockholm Invitational last year alongside the Muslim, and that was amazing, but this is like 4 times bigger, man. This is just going to be an amazing set of games coming up.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. I actually don't see any matches over there that look like they might be boring or matches that look like they might not be exciting. I don't know, man. I think we definitely have a pretty awesome lineup coming through here.
Sjow versus Polt.
These will all be best of 3s. I wanted to note that, except the finals. The finals will, of course, be a best of 5, so look forward to that. And all these matches will really be very telling, I think, of the foreigner skill versus the Korean skill here at this foreign event. And I'm really excited to see how these players collide. Sjow versus Polt, Genius versus Rhett, and especially Monster versus Nurchio. Nurchio is a player I'm really looking at very closely at this tournament because I feel like he's on a tear right now.
Nurchio has always been a fantastic player on the online scene, but coming offline, he has had hazy results here and there. Of course, he did manage to win a big tournament in Germany, but this is the big stage now. This is where all these players, this is real, man.
Yeah.
Shit got real when they came to Stockholm, that's for sure.
That is definitely for sure, man. This could be their time to shine.
Yeah. This is going to be an amazing day, guys. So we're going to go to a very quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to bring you game number 1 between a Swede, a Dignitas Sjow, going up against TSL Polt. It's going to be a fantastic game, guys, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. and gentlemen, welcome back live from Stockholm. We are almost ready to get into game number 1, where we will be having the first Swede coming up here, Dignitas Sjow. Going up against it a little bit against TSL Polt, not going to lie there at all. Polt undefeated so far in this tournament.
He is looking absolutely unbeatable here. He looks invincible. Can Sjow, a foreigner, take him out here? It's possible, but it's definitely not going to be easy. Yeah,
it's not his best matchup either, but he has so much experience on the stage.
Yeah.
He's traveled. He had a fantastic year in 2011. You know, he was actually European champion when he won the Intel Extreme Masters, and he was always placing at a decent level at tournaments. But on the other hand, Polt, man, Polt has been on a stir in international tournaments. You know, first time he came over here, he won Assembly just a couple months back.
Yeah, just very recently.
And then he had a little bit of trouble in America, and he is struggling in the GSL, but in Europe, man, he just dominates when he comes here.
Yeah. You know, something to talk about with Sjow is I remember during the early stages of release, I always saw his name in every single online tournament. He was winning tons of them. You know, the only person who would ever beat him would be like Maro. And I remember his name so much, and then he started doing really, really well. And he had a bit of a time where he wasn't winning a lot of tournaments. He wasn't doing as well. And here he is in the round of 8 here of this tournament. And I think he might be able to go all the way. He'll have to take out Polt and then potentially even Genius in order to do so. But he might be able to do it. And if he's on fire, if his nerves are kind of fired up because of this, then I think he might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very difficult game. But there is Polt from TSL, of course, and there is Dignitas Sjow, the Swede here from Team Dignitas. And both of these guys are ready, man. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Press that button, Diapollo.
Are you guys ready? All right, I'm sure they are. Like, look down from my balcony up here. I can kind of see people down in the crowd. But game number 1 is going to be on ESV Ohana Sjow. Terran at Polt, also Terran. Our first mirror matchup. And what an exciting one it's going to be.
It absolutely will be, man. I cannot wait. The map is loading, and so are the players' nerves calming. They're trying to get prepared in those booths.
And we are finally in the first game of today here, the first quarterfinal. Starting on time, this is in the bottom right, TSL Polt. And spawning in the top here, the local boy from Stockholm, just about 15 minutes drive from here, it is Team Dignitas Sjow.
Now, I think Polt will probably be the one in this matchup to play the macro game, to play the long game, to be the one who's calm and collected. And Sjow will be the one to try to do, if he does, a more gimmicky strategy or a more aggressive opener, because he's the one who's going up against a Korean, the macro master here, Polt. And Show's not known for his APM. He's not known for being a super fast player. And he knows he's got a tough opponent here, so he may try to do something risky or, you know, a little bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, Show's always been known for his intelligent decision making.
Right.
The thought process. And the thing is that he sees something and it just clicks. He knows exactly what to do. He's experienced the scenario before, and that's the thing that's going to give him the upper hand. But the thing is that he's playing against Polt, who is an equally intelligent player here, who has won games because of his decision making as well. And Ohana plays out rather slow, to be honest, because there is an easier third base to take on this map. It's very close towards the natural area, just to break these side rocks down. And both of these guys so far, Wolf, actually going gasless here. So game 1 is going to be a long one.
Definitely going to be a little bit of a longer one. One thing to note is that Polt has gone for a scouting SCV, something that Sjow has not done, something in fact that Sjow has become known for is not scouting, especially in this matchup. Polt is actually going to hang out down there at the bottom right, needs to go in ASAP. There he goes. We'll actually be able to come in here and see no gases. We'll let him feel pretty comfortable with what he's doing with his opener because he's doing an identical one. The only problem, of course, for Polt is that his opponent it will have a little bit of extra mining from not scouting, but his opponent's not going to know what Polt's up to.
Yeah, and Polt's actually walled in here as well, so even if we had have seen Sjow send out an SCV, he's not going to get any information whatsoever here. He does actually have a Marine looking around for the SCV on the right-hand side, though it is hugging the Zelnoga tower here, and there is the first command center coming down from Dignitas Sjow. Likewise down here, Wolf, we do have Polt taking his. And to be honest, in these situations, they can still branch either way, whether it be the regular biological style, whether it be the mechanical style. Sjow immediately jumping to double refineries here.
Yeah.
And that could be a key sign that he wants to rush that factory out. He wants to push Banshees out.
You're exactly right. Now with the double refinery, it allows you to get that faster, safer Viking out for sure, because right now Sjow doesn't know what Polt's doing. Polt could even be going for Cloak Banshees, so he needs to get that double gas out, get that starport up, get that Viking out just to be safe against that, whereas Polt has a little bit more flexibility here because he knows exactly what he's up against.
Polt is a player that consistently uses bio play in this matchup, no matter what. He's actually lost a lot of matches because of it.
Yeah.
I think within the GSL, he got absolutely destroyed by Jack. You ripped him apart through using aggressive play early on, through using mech. And Polt once again deciding to play that bio style. On the other hand, though, Sjow throws down the first factory here. That doesn't mean that he is going to play mech, but he is starting down that tech path.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Reactor going down on his barracks as well. That could be several things, but it's likely just to increase his marine production. And the type of player that Sjow is, he often goes marine tank, and that's a really common strategy. And against a player like Polt, depending on how Polt plays it, you know, bio can work against marine tank. It all depends on where you engage. You have to be very map aware. You have to try to catch your opponent's army off guard, unsieged. You have to outmaneuver him. You have to do drops in the main base, abuse the fact that your opponent's not as mobile as you are.
And look at the difference between these two players. Sjow is playing so safe because of that lack of scout. He has a bunker, and of course we don't have one down here for Polt, and there's also an engineering bay really early here. Not necessarily for +1 attack, but just in case. All of a sudden a Banshee comes in, he's like, oh crap, you know, I didn't scout again, man, it's gonna pull me down. And you know, just to have that safe option, and there's the starport too, so really safe on all different fronts, but that will slow him down in the long run because he's not cutting corners here. We see 43 supply, a factory coming down here for Polt, and Polt has taken a steady lead because of the safeness that Sjow is showing.
Exactly.
us here.
That's the real key about scouting. Means you know what you're up against and how many corners you can cut. Sjow is going to send a few Hellions out to get a little bit of scouting information here. He's going to go up and try to check for that bunker, see what his opponent's composition is. He will even catch 2 Marines here on the watchtower by the looks of things. Nice micro by Sjow, trying to make sure he minimizes the damage these Hellions take. And will he actually push forward and see how many Marines are at the top of the ramp? It would be a risky decision, but he really needs to find out as soon as he can what his opponent is up to.
Yeah, and look at this. That's looking at Show's vision. Still sees absolutely nothing. Has 4 Hellions out and a Raven 2 here, which is not going to help out whatsoever to actually what Polt is doing here. Factory coming down here for Sjow, a second factory. And we're taking the 3rd and 4th gas. We are going to see mechanical play come from Sjow here against Bio, the traditional war within this matchup. And if Sjow was to poke up that ramp wolf, he is going to lose a Hellion or 2.
Yeah, at least 1, that's for sure. He checks for the 3rd base with that Hellion. If you look at his vision, you can see he just absolutely has no idea what's going on. He hasn't even dropped a scan. He has no idea what sort of composition Polt is doing. And on one hand, that's a little bit bad because it's something that he's going to have to play through without really knowing what's going on. But on the other hand, it allows him to, basically what he's saying here is, I know that no matter what build you do, the build I'm doing is safe. And he feels very comfortable and confident with that.
And he's scouting around with this single Hellion to make sure there is no hidden expansion, something that he wouldn't, would get surprised by. But with this mechanical play, Sjow is automatically saying, all right, Polt, I'm going to sit back for quite a while here. Because, of course, that if he did decide to push out with a small amount of units, he's going to get crushed so early on. And that automatically opens up once Polt identifies what exactly his opponent is doing. And there is the scan immediately from Polt, sees, okay, there's the 4 factories. Okay, I'm playing against mech.
Yeah.
And now immediately Polt can say, all right, now what do I do? Do I grab a 3rd base to abuse the immobility of Sjow's strategy? Do I throw down a 2nd engineering bay? Because I don't really need to build a big army right now, because I'm going to attack into a very defensive player.
That's exactly right. I mean, he does have just 2 medevacs out right now. He will have a few more very soon. He chases these Hellions away now. Sjow knows a push of some kind may be coming. That's going to make him want to build his 3rd command center at his natural rather than trying to take a riskier 3rd because he knows this push is potentially coming here. Now, will Polt try to drop 2 drops in the main and then attack at the natural at the same time, almost as if this is a TVP? Or is he just going to dart in with all of his forces at once? The only time will tell here. There's a lot of Hellions out for Sjow, and Blue Flame is almost done.
Yeah, Blue Flame will shred through these Marines. And look at this barracks on the left-hand side here. Sjow understanding that my front is pretty damn safe, but if I get dropped around the back, I could actually lose a lot of infrastructure here. So the barracks placement is amazing there by Sjow. Of course, he's not going to need it anytime soon, but there is the 3rd command center coming down for Polt, and He is checking out the third base. I don't think he's going to get any results up here.
Yeah, I don't think so. This is a risky move by Polt. Even stimmed all of his units. I really don't like that. A scan would have been a better choice there. But either
he
way.
did scan and stim. That's like the weird thing.
Yeah, that was really weird. I would have expected him to do one or the two. He is sending his factory around the top right to check for that third base. He even has a Marine there as well. Meanwhile, he's back at home adding 4 more barracks. Wow. No transition in sight from the play that we're seeing from Polt. Yeah,
Polt's just going to, well, with this third base, the key thing is, though, Polt has to do damage. There's no question about it. If he sits back and allows Sjow to build up a crucial force of mechanical units, it's going to be almost impossible for him to actually take an engagement at any point in the game here. Yeah. And he has landed the command center, the factory, in place where the command center would go down. But look at the force of Sjow. He's got so many Hellions that the tank count isn't even that high. It's at 5. But with this amount of Hellions, that's so much buffering time. Yeah. They tank so much damage, but they also deal
splash
so much
damage. And they're going to be really effective. If he catches this small Polt army.
Oh, he stims. He's going to try and get in there.
Oh, he's going for it.
Siege up. No, says Sjow, and Sjow holds a key location here.
Yeah, Sjow looking strong already in this first game. It does lose a Viking, but the Vikings alone, I like how he's using them to kind of control this location with the Raven as well. He has enough energy for a point defense which will stop all Marauder fire.
This push is getting damn scary here for Polt. Sjow has such a solid siege tank line, and Polt's like, I actually can't fight that straight
Polt
up.
needs to avoid. He needs to avoid this army. He needs to go around the side. He needs to try to cut off reinforcements. He's actually going to send some Hellions here. The ramp is actually not blocked. Polt's not raising the depots.
A force on the left-hand side here. Sjow needs to siege up. He does, but still these tanks will go down. Oh, big couple of sieges get down, and he kills quite a few units. But the thing is now, his natural is very much so exposed. At the same time, he understands that the army of Polt is not there, so he runs right at the ramp wall.
Yeah, he does indeed. The ramp was not raised. And Hellion's taking out a ton of SCVs, but meanwhile, Sjow losing a lot of SCVs here. The one tank on the ramp being very useful, but it does finally fall.
And this is a very weird situation here. Both of these players kind of running up their ramps, though Sjow, all he has to do is just hold his main. He's lost, he hasn't lost any command center. He's about to lose one now, but at the same time, his squad is so small here that Polt could actually stim in and run with a couple of SCVs.
He's going to go for it. He's running in now. The Marauders targeting down the siege tanks. Some Vikings being landed, but it's a bit too late. And look at the supply now.
Oh, it's dropping heavily here. The tanks are getting picked apart by these Marauders. And oh my god, Sjow's forces get cleaned up on the ramp of Polt, but they're still there. Oh my god, I can't believe Sjow has been pushed away, man.
Sjow has been pushed away, man. I think Polt may be able to take this first game. There's not much answer for the Bio Forces that do have 1-1 upgrades now. Even the Hellions alone are not enough, and it's looking pretty bad.
It's looking really, really bad here for Sjow. I think the decision from Polt there to go all the way around, to just go to the natural, won him that game, and Polt takes map number 1 here. Well,
looking very strong in that
game. Looking very solid on stage 2. Sjow shaking his hands, drying his hands on his trousers there. Man, he's feeling the heat in that booth.
He is feeling the heat, man, and he had that game practically won in some ways. I think the problem for him was he did not expect Polt to just completely circumvent him there and go around the side, because it was a risky choice by Polt. If Sjow had a little bit more infrastructure set up at home, he would have been totally fine.
Yeah. I really love the way that mech players have been changing their overall strategy within this matchup. They understand if they sit back and try to build a force up, the bio player just like takes expansions all over the map and starts upgrading, and then Sjow throws in that twist. Is like, well, if you're going to do that, if that's the regular response from a biological player, then I'm just going to push really early.
Yeah, I'm going to push before you have a chance to even take that base. He even had Vikings out to stop any floating command centers, also to pick away at the medevacs. The positioning of his units was really good as well, and he never stopped slowly pushing in, even having the Raven not only to detect Cloak Banshees, but also for the point defense run was so critical. If he had a bunker up at home and siege tanks in a slightly better position, I think it would have defended Polt's counterattack and probably would have taken a huge lead in that game.
And I think that game, even though Sjow lost it, I think he's going to feel a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah.
Because he can look at that and say,
I almost did
it.
Yeah.
I almost had that game.
I could see him in his booth when he was shaking his hands and everything else. I could see him. He was like, all right, I almost had that. It's fine. Actually, losing this game is totally okay with me.
All right, guys. So, let's get ready to play this next game. It will be on Cloud Kingdom. and it's going to be another interesting map. Whether we'll see Mech come out again, I'm not too sure.
Entirely possible we will see it. I think we'll probably see a similar style from Polt, and he does really tend to avoid that mech play. What type of expansions we'll see on this map is hard to say as well. We could potentially see command centers first on this map, but it's likely that if they're going to fast expand, they're going to do a similar one barracks expand with no gas.
Indeed, and just setting this next map up, and very shortly we will be getting underway with this. Polt, though, man, he's looking good.
Yeah, he is.
He's looking good, man. The decision there to go around the side, to understand that I can actually do this, and then still, you know, at the same time, hold on to the force that Sjow had on his natural there, and Sjow there, almost like sneezing, I suppose you could say, rubbing his hands, blowing on his hands, and Polt looking very confident inside those booths.
Yeah, he definitely does, and you know, something about that last game to note that we didn't talk about too much was that Polt had 1-1 upgrades, and the army of our mech player Sjow didn't have any upgrades. Normally, you don't see too many upgrades early on, but that did come into play a little bit. With the 1-1 upgrades, kept his units alive longer. He had so many medevacs as well that during that push, he had several Marauders in the red, but they just killed everything.
You got to be so careful when you play mech, man. As soon as those Hellions go, the tanks get so exposed against those Marauders, and the map is loading. It is going to be ESV. Thank you to ESV, of course, for making the maps. And we have a lot of ESV maps within the map pool. And this one is going to be Cloud Kingdom. And as you can see on screen, Terran vs. Terran, Sjow vs. Polt 2, Jim Raynor's on screen. And in the game we are, ladies and gentlemen. So in the top right of Cloud Kingdom, Team SCV Live Polt. Down in the south here on Cloud Kingdom, none other than Dignitas Sjow.
Indeed, Dignitas Sjow showing us some great play last game, actually showing us how to play mech, how to be aggressive early before your opponent can take that third base. And, you know, the way he sieged up, the way he tried to contain Polt almost worked out for him. If he just had a little bit more at home, I really feel that game could have gone a lot better for him.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of tanks caught naked on that natural, and if they were on the higher ground, staged up, but because this on that map, you know, the higher ground looks down upon two different levels, so it would have been very difficult for Polt to push up there, but a little mistake, man, cost the game in such an unforgiving finals. Remember, this is the best of 3, one mistake, and then you're one game away from losing it all here. And this map here, Cloud Kingdom, let's talk a little bit about the map here. This is actually, I feel, and through the games and Terran vs. Terran we've seen here, a perfectly executed mech play is almost unbeatable.
Yeah. There are a few opening places in the middle of the map, but if their opponent who's playing mech sieges up correctly, controls the watchtowers, and has the control of the high ground at the right moments, then he should never lose to your bio play. There are a few places, though, where there's a wide enough space that if you're unsieged, your opponent can flank you and catch you. So bio play can be used here, but I agree. I think mech is definitely the superior style on most maps, in fact.
Yeah, mech, I mean, on the Titan maps where there's an easier third base to grab, the 5th and 6th gas is so important. On maps that have much further away over the third base, that's when, of course, mech becomes that much more difficult, as you can play mech on full gas, but it's just not that strong compared to being on all gases. And Polt is going for a gasless style once again here, and likewise, so is Sjow. So this is actually a very standard style in Terran vs. Terran. You always open up with this one barracks command center unless you want to hit the aggression early, and then you can start to deviate whether you want to play bio, whether you want to play mech afterwards.
Absolutely. I mean, I like that both players want to play this macro style against each other. One thing to note is that Sjow is getting his command center a little bit faster, but he did get his orbital command a little bit later. And Polt, with this fast scout, will see no gases, does not see the command center, but seeing the no gases lets him know what's going on. And as a result, he's comfortably able to put that command center on the low ground without any worries. Sjow, again, on the other hand, though, has not been able to scout at all, so he's going to have to play it a little bit in the dark here.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a mistake for Sjow to even let that SCV in, and such a minute detail is so big. It's such a, you know, prestigious tournament in a level like this. Because now Polt, like you said, he knows the command center's coming. And even though he doesn't see, I mean, he doesn't see the command center, but it's very rare you'll see an additional set of barracks come from this. Because, you know, a single bunker with SCVs will just shut it down no matter how hard you try. So, of course, the latter option is just for the command center play. And Sjow changing things around this game. He's actually gone for double barracks here. after these refineries have been taken.
Yeah, he's still got the double gas though, so we'll see exactly what his plan is very soon. It likely will be a faster stim, since he doesn't know what's going on with his opponent. He's got to get that tech lab up as soon as he can, get that stim out, because without stim and without the Viking tech, you just can't deal with Banshees. Factory is going down here for Polt a little bit earlier.
Yeah, this is actually very interesting. We'll have to see. I mean, he could just go for tanks pretty early and then just take a fast third base. You know, tanks on the higher ground actually cover the third base. They cover the natural extremely well here.
Yeah.
One thing to note, though, with Sjow is, you brought up a good point, is that Show's not really known for mechanical play. He is more of a bio-tank kind of guy. And I think looking back at that last map on Hannah, I think that was more of a, not I want to play mech, more of a, I've got this build that I think can beat you.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of fallen back to his go-to style, go-to build here, which is, of course, the biological play.
Yeah, more of a marine tank style if he's adding in the tanks, but definitely not a purely mech style. It's not normally his usual. Now you can see on the production tab both players going for this stim at relatively the same time. Polt a little bit ahead with his starport here. Now the question is, will he try to put on any Banshee aggression, or is he just going to go into fast medevac play? Likely, I think, though, if he's going to make the starport this early, he'll probably at the very least get a Viking out. I don't think we're going to see any early drop play, especially considering he knows what his opponent's up to. He's going for that quick command center, and drop play is just not going to be very effective against that.
I don't know, man. He's gotten like 200 gas banked up, and there comes down the tech lab, so it makes sense for him just to go into a Banshee. I mean, I guess you could go into a Raven from here, considering he hasn't seen anything. And of course, a follow-up could easily be Cloak Banshee here. So there's those two kind of options for Polt to choose from here. And he's actually, alright, well, he's just going to go for tanks here instead. And I expect a third command center to come down shortly from him, though, especially given so that it's such an easy, you know, third base to take. And Scan lands down from Polt and sees the regular 3 barracks. He sees, of course, Stim being researched. Combat shields would have finished by now. And also sees the starport and reactor, so he knows exactly what's coming here.
Yeah, seeing the late starport allows him to make the medevac rather than the Viking, because he knows there's no real advantage to having that Viking out super early if his opponent isn't going to be pushing him with Banshees or any medevacs, or, you know, building that air control is just not important at this stage of the game. Sjow, however, is going to be making double medevacs here by the looks of things, even making an additional reactor with that factory so he can start getting more Marines out. He is going to be going very Marine heavy here.
And see the first medevac coming out here with 8 Marines inside. Show's not going to have any clue about this, but he does have some defensive Marines at the back anyway.
Yeah, and he has stim, you know, like Polt does. So I actually think this move by Polt is a little bit weird and kind of risky. I think it's going to put him behind more than ahead here, especially as Sjow will see this. Luckily for Polt, maybe even, oh, he actually doesn't see it. So Polt may drop all of his Marines and lose them, but actually Sjow is moving out at this moment, ironically, so this drop could do a lot of damage.
Sjow actually saw that with the Marine. I was checking his vision, and I have no idea why he didn't really respond to that. Now he's going to take a couple of SCV kills here. 4 go down. Marines do come in, and Marines are faster than medevacs when stim, so this medevac is going to be shot down, and Sjow gets the medevac kill there. Pretty big win there, considering he did lose 4 SCVs, but a medevac and 8 Marines, well worth it.
The other thing to consider, though, also is that Sjow had to stim his entire Marine army, which was over 16 Marines. They will be healed eventually, but that's a lot of medevac energy spent. Not too big of a deal, but that's something to consider. Now, Show's drop is actually going to considerably do a considerable amount of damage because Polt's Marines are out of position here. He's actually going to drop it right away.
Look at the Marines are all the way down by the natural, and Sjow stims in, and well, you drop me, I drop you, and he's going to get a couple of SCV kills here as well. At the same time, though, remember, look at this, he's moving across the map with quite a squad of units here. Combat shields is not, just finished actually for Sjow, and he's going to
Gotta be careful though. There are some tanks here. This is not a good choice.
Just 1 hit, so not the worst damage there by Sjow, but he did get a couple of SCV kills, actually more so than Polt got 8 there with that drop. Well, 7 I guess if you take away the scouting SCV from the beginning of the game, but third command center has been put down, almost near completed here for Sjow, and he is starting to ramp up the production, and the third command center only just now started for Polt, who actually opted for extra barracks before that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is an interesting variation here. Now, Sjow is putting on so much aggression against the amount of siege tanks that Polt has. I'm not sure how much I like this. I'd rather see him just do drop play rather than trying to go in the front. It looks like that's what he's going to do here. He may do some sort of elevator play into the main base, but Polt is completely ready for this. He even has units positioned in his main base.
And this medevac still just waiting there. Has 4 Marines left in it. Sjow doesn't know about that turret, and he has to be very careful considering the medevac has lost a bit of HP already. And still far, kind of slowing down a little bit now. The factory is getting the first tank out as well as siege mode, and will start to slow down. Upon taking the third base and taking the gases there, that's really when the tank production kicks in here for Sjow, and would not be surprised if he threw down a second factory very, very shortly here, as since he has delayed it quite a bit more than Polt has.
Yeah.
He kind of has to catch up in that siege tank count that is going to prove so pivotal in Marine Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, Polt's tank count is 6-1. Both players pretty much even on worker count, 54-55 in Show's favor.
I think Sjow was waiting for this, man. This squad of Marines has been there, and he's just going to go in and stim. And if he gets this command center, this is huge. Oh my God,
he's definitely going to get it. He definitely gets it. A nice move by Sjow. I really like that. That's exactly what those Marines were for.
And now he's going to drop inside the main base at the same time. Well, I guess a couple of Marines in there, they can still stim and do quite a bit of damage into the SCV line, but at the same time, Polt chasing down this squad that took down an entire command center alone, and will retreat back to his own third command center with gas being taken, and Sjow takes a significant lead in this game. And look, these two Marines, man. Look at that, 10 SCVs chasing, two Marines like, what's up?
Yeah, man, if you look at the income tab, you can see that Sjow right now has about triple the income of Polt with that extra base, and with the amount of SCVs he's killed and lost mining time he's forced. He is looking absolutely ahead in economy right now. He's ahead about 10 supply right now. His siege tank count is a little bit lower than his opponent, but his Marine count is significantly higher.
And all he has to do right now is just kind of hold position on his third base, not lose it. There is a little bit of an area where Polt could actually get into a good position below that third base. Show's going to have to be very careful now as Polt with a commanding siege tank lead here, currently at 7 versus 3. And immediately Sjow does move down to kind of counteract the movement here of Polt. Sjow looking in pretty good shape though, man. He's well, the one thing that he is falling behind on a little bit is upgrades, but both of them chasing the armor at the same time. Polt has map control here, but Sjow is not out of position anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like what Polt may be trying to set up here is a trap where he's got the siege tanks on the outside where he baits the Marines into it, but I don't think Sjow is going to fall for it. Both players sieging up here. Polt scans. Going to take a few hits, though.
Oh, 7 tanks versus 3 before that fight. 7 tanks versus 1 after that fight. Not the best position there for Sjow with these 2 tanks. Got caught off guard a little bit.
Oh, Apollo, he's setting up a flank here potentially.
Oh, there's a lot of Marines. Let's have a look at the army supply here. 95, but 101, and there's a lot of army supply left at home here. And Show's going to take a fight here. 1-1 versus 1-1. 2 medivacs versus 4, though, but that was a bit of a run around. I guess these Marines wanted to fall back to the tanks.
Yeah, I think he was worried that Sjow might try to dart down there and kill his injured tanks, and I understand that, but either way, it looks like Sjow is now going to circumvent the army and go for an attack on that third base again. Polt has an army in the middle of the map, but doesn't look like he's going to see it. Oh, he just barely sees it.
Oh, Show's force is in trouble here. There's so many more Marines, and they take a fight despite the medivac lead here. He's going to lose the Marines, and what does I was going to say, what does Polt do? Does he go for the medivac? Does he go for the army? Well, he's going to go for both.
Yep, he definitely is. He's going to try to set up a flank here potentially. After he gets one of those medivacs, he may go over and trap the rest of the units.
It's not so good for Sjow. Donating a few units, sacrificing a bit of his lead there, but look at the production tab. Look how equal that is.
Yeah, that is actually crazy. The one difference, though, is that Sjow is producing more tanks than Polt now, so it's going to help him equalize things. Right now, it's 9-5.
Oh, that was a little bit scary there for Ding to Sjow as the tanks on the high ground, but he's left his third base location now and is actually comfortable with the army he has to move around.
One thing to note right now is as far as the SCV count goes, it's 79-58 in Show's favor. He's making 2 command centers right now, so his economy is going to be better than Polt's very soon, and he may actually completely circumvent Polt's army here and do a lot of damage. Depends on how he does this. Looks like he's been spotted. Polt going to try to catch him. Polt sieges first, forces these tanks back.
Tanks are a bit exposed there, Wolf, but look at this. The tanks that Show's are firing and the ones that Polt are not, so Sjow takes a convincing little win there.
Yeah, that was a weird commitment by Polt. I thought maybe he'd target a tank or 2 and get out, but he decided to commit to that engagement. Right now, the army supply at 100-113 in Polt's favor. He still does have that tank lead at 10-6, and the Marine count dead even.
And you're very true on these extra command centers coming down here. Show's production's pretty good as well, so as long as he doesn't make a colossal mistake here, he actually is looking in pretty good shape, but I thought that was a big drop then. It's just 2 Marines, never mind.
I think we may have a flank from Polt. He's got to be careful. He keeps showing his hand when he tries to set up these flanks, and so Sjow is always able to get into position to defend.
The problem is the Zalnaga tower here. Look at the vision of Polt compared to the vision of Sjow. And Sjow's trying to fight for this Zelnoga tower. If he has a tank above the high ground, he can actually hold it and start to take that advantage himself, which he does. And both of these guys will sense the tower. Small squad of Marines here. There is a single tank, though, which will be enough to defend this location.
Indeed, and Polt, man, he keeps donating Marines to those siege tanks. Holding the watchtower is important, but he's got to be careful.
Sjow gets in a little bit of an area where, look at the line, the siege tank's just out of position here, and Sjow gets a good amount and drops it on the natural as well, while moving his entire force. Sjow is pulling Polt apart here, killing SCVs all over the place. 27 versus only 5 throughout this game, and he's through the choke point here. The tanks of Polt are going to do so much damage.
This looks terrible for Sjow. A really bad engagement, and Polt sets up a flank. He's even going to catch the majority of these medevacs.
And oh my god, Sjow is looking so good, but got caught in an awful position. And all of a sudden, Sjow on the back foot here. This 4th base is in a lot of trouble. Tanks are trying to come around to help protect it. And Planetary Fortress will help a lot too, but look how many units there are for Polt.
He's got so many siege tanks here. He's got to be very careful of how he positions them, though. He's throwing away a lot of Marines here. I'm not sure if I like this commitment, but he's going to go for it. Stemming his Marines forward. Several siege tanks firing on that planetary, and it looks like he will break through.
And Polt does destroy that, but at the same time, Sjow comes down. If he can only kill this single tank there, that 3rd base will be unlocked for Sjow to take down, and the tank goes down, and long will the SCVs as well. And Sjow, he's not going to do enough here, though. Polt does have some reinforcing Marines to help that location. And
Consider also, though, Sjow has literally double the SCVs at 39 to 78. So if he can get another command center, hold that thought. Polt is not going to waste any time here. He's going in, targets down a siege tank. His tank count is significantly
13
better.
versus 2. That's such a big difference. And every head-to-head, toe-to-toe fight here, Polt's going to win with this siege tank line. Sjow has to do something to topple it, whether it be catching his opponent off guard, maybe just holding a position along this 3rd to 4th base and trying to pull back towards defending these locations. But right now, Polt is, controlling this game, controlling the flow, making Sjow react to his movement. And this is a solid position Polt's about to
this
set up.
definitely is. The tanks are sieged before Sjow can react, and it looks like he's going to lose one of these orbitals. He still does have the secret one over at the bottom right, though. He's going to take out the 2nd orbital potentially as well. Oh, that's so bad for Sjow.
Sjow's economy just takes a massive hit despite being in the lead with it all game long. He does have a hidden command center in the bottom right, so that may be a saving grace for him. But at the same time, Polt now is taking a 4th command center with a planetary fortress. And where, against Marines alone, SCVs will be able to repair this. He just doesn't have the siege tanks to commit. And look at this, Polt just so on top of scouting consistently throughout this series. A single 1 HP Marine will scout this 4th base. Army supply 132, 79 for Sjow, who is struggling now in this game.
Yeah, he's definitely going to lose this base before it even becomes a planetary. It's canceled. Base does get taken out. Meanwhile, of course, we do see Sjow moving out. Looks like it's going to be his last dish push here. He wants to be able to take out one of the bases. Polt does have a planetary up at the top left, but Polt just has units to defend there as well. There aren't very many siege tanks out for Sjow. I don't think he's going to be able to kill this before the rest of Polt's army comes and catches him.
Yeah, and Polt's 3-3 upgrades are about to finish before Sjow's as well. And look at this. Sjow has a good position here, but now he's losing position down here, and we see the 3rd, main command center coming down towards the 3rd at the same time. Polt does go in here, Wolf, and Sjow is getting shredded here. 3-3 upgrades, making the big difference here. Polt is everywhere. Sjow is crumbling down, and Polt is about to take a 2-0 sweep. Sjow
EIZO Polt advances to the semifinals, taking out Sjow here 2-0. Sjow showing some great decision making in that game, but in the end, Polt just took him out, taking him apart. Here he is, EIZO Polt.
Still undefeated in this tournament now, going 9-0, has only dropped a single map. This guy is looking on fire, and well, Jeff, give us some thoughts.
Congratulations on the big win. You've only dropped 1 game this entire tournament. You have either Rhett or Genius next. Who do you fear more?
That
딱히 뭐 상대하기 싫은 선수는 없는데 요새 프로토스가 강세이니만큼 프로토스는 좀 피하고 싶어요.
Jeff, make him speak English. I know he does. The voice from above.
Well, there isn't any special opponent I want to go against, but nowadays I see that Protoss are very strong, so probably Genius.
Okay. Is this I think this is his first time in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. One of his first trips to Europe as well? No?
I was at Assembly, Finland.
Okay. So my question is, how have you liked Sweden? How has he liked Sweden?
정말 좋아요. 그런데 날씨가 좀 안 좋을 때가 있었는데 그때는 좀 안 좋았고 그때 빼곤 다 좋아요.
I like Sweden so far, but I guess the weather is a bit strange. But except from that, I enjoy Sweden very much.
There you go. Well, my final question is, you're one of the favorites to win the tournament. You've been doing very well for yourself, beating amazing opponents all along the way. What do you play for? Do you play for yourself? Do you play for your family? Or is it a team? I mean, what motivates you day in and day out to continue to practice as hard as you do?
어, 1차적으로 첫 번째로는 저를 위해서 일단 게임을 하는 게 맞아요. 제가 이걸 함으로써 즐겁고 뭐 그런 게 있기 때문에 첫 번째는 저고 두 번째로는 여기 있는 수많은 이 팬들을 위해서 제가 하고 있습니다.
Firstly, I play for myself because I enjoy playing StarCraft and that's what I'm good at. Secondly, I play for my fans, for instance, for all the people here.
Very good. Guys, let's give it up for TSL Polt. Big first match here. Okay, thank you very much, and back to the casters.
We were thrown under the bus there, but we are back, and an interesting series there.
Yeah.
Sjow looked pretty strong, man. He looked good in game 1, and then dropped it. He looked good in game 2, and then dropped it. And I'm sure he's kicking himself after that series.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, his upgrades, that upgrade fight at the planetary at the end was so important. I mean, if he had taken out that planetary and that army, and he might have had a base trade kind of chance with a more mobile marine force, but Polt just crushed his army with 3/3 upgrades. Even with the tanks there, it didn't matter.
And of course now Polt taking that win, moves on, and is our first semi-finalist here in Stockholm. And like we just found out, we'll be playing the winner of Genius versus Rhett, which is going to be our next game very, very shortly here. Any thoughts on that game before we head over to a quick commercial break?
Well, here's the thing, man. Genius is definitely the favorite, but he's looking weak versus Zerg right now. And in fact, a lot of Protosses in this tournament have been looking weak against Zerg. So this could be a chance for Rhett to make it to the semifinals.
Yeah, Rhett, strangely, he has up and down results against Protoss, but he just has such a solid style where he basically, he has such a solid style, but at the same time, he always is on the line of death.
Yeah, he
Or
plays on the
life,
edge. He lives
you know?
life on the edge.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see how Genius is going to look at. Genius being a very intelligent player, will look up and down at Rhett and say, I know you build drones. I know you're on the edge consistently.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what Genius has planned. Of course, Protoss being the race that has to make the decisions, has to pull up the strategies. Rhett will be the one accepting the strategies and will be reacting to what Genius will bring up.
Yeah, Genius is kind of going to be the boss of it, whereas Rhett just knows his own tempo and he's going to kind of play to his own style. No matter what Genius does, he's going to make minor adjustments as a result. And because of this, Genius may try to do something crazy.
He may. All right, guys, we're going to go to a very quick commercial break. I'm going to use the toilet, and then we'll be back with the next game, which will be MVP NYM Genius going up against Team Liquid's very own Rhett. So stay tuned, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show.